Welcome to Public Forum, a community outreach program produced at North Idaho College on the shores of Lake Coeur d'Alene. Featuring guests from around the globe addressing a wide variety of subjects, Public Forum serves to educate and enlighten. Please join host and moderator, political scientist Tony Stewart, in welcoming today's guest.
We're most pleased to bring you our 8th program in our special series titled Celebrating Canadian-American Friendship. On this particular program today, we are very pleased and honored to have a number of students that come to us from the College of the Rockies in Cranbrook, British Columbia, and 2 of our students from the Associated Students at North Idaho College. And we'll be discussing and comparing the work of college students in Canada and the United States. First of all, I welcome to the program Jason Hess, who is the Senator of the Associated Students at North Idaho College. Jason, welcome to the program. It's very good to have you here today.
Thanks, Tony.
And I'm equally pleased to have Joel Crane, who is the President of the Associated Students at North Idaho College. And Joel, welcome to the program.
Thank you, Tony. It's a pleasure to be here.
And we want to welcome our friends from the North who are here with us to discuss these issues today. And first of all, I would welcome Colin Lindell, who is the President of the Associated Students of the College of the Rockies. And Colin, you and I have worked together, so we put this together over time. And thank you for being in our city today, in our country. And we're pleased to have you on our program.
Thanks for having us here. And
I'm equally pleased to have Charity Gerbrandt, who is the Recreation Manager, I believe, at the College of the Rockies. And we're very, very happy to have you here, Charity.
Thank you.
I'll start out with our friends from the North and ask you a couple of questions. Our viewers are in a very wide area. They cover portions of 7 states here in the Pacific Northwest, and it goes into British Columbia and Alberta and even further north. And so as our viewers are watching from 2 countries today, and 2 beautiful countries, Colin, tell us a little bit about how life is at the College of the Rockies, which, by the way, is a sister city of North Idaho College.
Well, it's a great college. It's nestled right in the mountains, and there's a lot of rec programs, and we have 7 campuses that are spread out across this valley, and it's a long ways from one end to the other, but we have a lot of programs that are oriented towards the industries and towards the tourism. And college life is interesting. We're just building a new student association now, so we're just trying to get into the swing of having more student life. But where this recreation program has taken up a lot of the slack when we've been down, so that's why Charity's here.
Yeah. Now, Colin, you are at the campus in Cranbrook.
Yeah.
How many other campuses did you say you have?
There are 7 campuses.
7 total.
Yeah.
And so those other 6 are in other cities that are around that
yeah.
region. Right.
Yeah.
Now, are you the president of the students of all 7 campuses?
Yeah, the Student Association represents all the students.
Okay. And so in the different programs and things you're doing, you're trying to find a way to coordinate students that are a lot of different sides.
Yeah. And it's hard because a lot of students, they have different interests, and even in one building, the student from one end of the building never sees a student from the other end of the building, so it's a challenge to bring them all together and get them to meet new people.
And Charity, that's where you come in as part of, today we've had a number of students here and learning about a lot of your programs, but share with what your responsibilities are and how you also try to meet this challenge of working with students that are, as I hear Colin saying, not only at different geographical sites, but even in different buildings on one of the campuses.
Well, since the Student Association hasn't been planning events this past year, the Recreation Department has kind of taken over. Okay. So we've tried to focus events both just on integrating students into the program, new students that come into the program, because it's just a 2-year lifespan at the College of the Rockies. So getting them involved right away with events such as Storm the Wall and just the kickoff week events and stuff like that. And then also because we have adult learning, a lot of adult learning at our college, that's another kind of segregated part. Like Colin has said, we have family fun nights where we try to integrate the families of the adult students at the college, and then international students make up about 10% of our student population, so we have a special coordinator for the international students, and they're doing a bunch of events, and there's lots of stuff that is offered just for intramural sports, and equipment-wise, recreational-wise, our surrounding area is just perfect for outdoor recreation as far as canoeing, climbing, biking, running, whatever you want to do outside, it's perfect.
Again, I commend you for the challenge that you face, but and colleges in the United States are very much like this too, which is really wonderful. Students from 18 on up to people with families and a lot of different, on your kind of sort of population. In fact, we even have students below 18 because here we have what we call dual enrollment, where high school students after they've completed certain courses and then come to more advanced courses at the college. So that is a challenge in both situations, is it not? So you're saying that there's a real variety of programs for people of different ages and different interests.
We try to include everybody. We want to, and I think it's something we need to work on more, is just finding out what the specific needs are in the different areas and getting people from different, just different programs together. It is very segregated. Our trades are very segregated, our nursing program, then our university transfer programs, and our teaching program out from UVic out in the Ed Shed. It's a challenge to get everyone in and everyone on the same page and involved, but we're trying, and we try to bring it together with big events. It seems to be
also at the different sites, you have that same...
Yeah, the different sites as well, and I think right now we're focusing more on coordinating just in the Cranbrook site, just to get started, and then try to branch out from there. I think you really have to have home base taken care of before you can spread yourself too thin.
Thank you. And Joel is president of the Associated Students of North Idaho College, institution for a community college that's really quite old, and student government goes back for, well, most all that's over 60 years, so your experience is a little bit different. Would you share with us, as the president of the board, how what you do is very similar to Canada and what's very different?
Okay. Well, comparing and contrasting, much of what we do in ASNIC, I think comparing it to both groups, is, our main job is to represent the students. And I think that's a similarity that all campus associated student bodies have. Perhaps some of our differences are the dynamics of the student bodies, the locations. I think that we have some similarities in that we have to outreach to students who don't necessarily come on campus, and that's very difficult, and we're still working on ways to get out to our students and get our message out to our students and make them aware of what's going on at campus and what activities and events and programs are available for them to make use of. So that's a problem that I think we both share. And with the advent of technology, where students are more and more staying at home and doing their classes from their computer, the growth rates for internet classes over just the last 2 years are just astronomical. That's going to be something that ASNIC is going to have to deal with in the future as our community becomes more technologically advanced. Because a lot of the students that are taking these internet classes are from the community. They're not necessarily from Montana, and they're not necessarily from Wallace, Idaho. So it's not that the distance is as much the factor, it's just the convenience of those internet courses. So a lot of what we're doing is we're trying to reach students through means of technology. Colin stated that there's 7 different campuses that he represents, and that's, more power to you. I have a lot of respect for you for doing that, because that's definitely cannot be easy. It's hard enough to try and outreach to 4,500 students here on campus. I can't imagine trying to do 7 different campuses. That would be very difficult. As Tony said, our student body's been, the Associated Student Bodies, students of North Idaho College, has been around for at least 60 years now. So we're fairly strong. Every year we get stronger. And that's something that we're going to continue to do, hopefully, through strong leadership. And in Colin's situation, they're just coming back in and trying to regroup and reorganize. And in many ways, that can be a blessing and not so great at the same time, because you've got a brand new thing that you can work with, and you can mold it into the shape of anything that you want it to be. And there's so much potential within these organizations to incite change in campus and in the community and in state laws as well. I know that ASNIC has done it in the past, and I have no doubts that you can do that with your organization as it begins to grow and change and mold into what you think it's going to be.
Thank you very much, Joel. And Jason, you have been on the board for some time, and so you're one of the more experienced senators. And we go back and ask our friends from Canada if they do similar projects. But one thing I am very impressed with the Associated Student Board at North Idaho College is, and there are 10 of you, that each person takes on a responsibility to do a very important project each year. Would you just kind of run us through some of the examples of those this year that of how the student government reaches out to that student population, and actually there are benefits to staff and faculty also.
Oh, you bet. Each student is given $1,000, or every senator is given $1,000 each year to do what we call a major project. We try and get the senator thinking about that as early as we can, because we want them to be fairly large and as big as possible, and then we do many smaller things under that. A lot of the projects that are done carry over from year to year. Our Constitution is looked over by our Senator Pro Tem, and that's usually their project, and the Senator Pro Tem usually takes that on every year and usually doesn't change. The other senators, however, bring up their own projects, and those can range from anywhere from just doing somewhat of a program to actual project that will last on the campus for many years to come. Some of the ideas and some of the programs that have been done are flagpoles. We used to not have flagpoles on campus, and our old president 2 years ago actually got some flagpoles up, some flags for student government, U.S. flag, and then the Idaho state flag.
And because you did that, we were able to all this week to fly the Canadian and American flag.
And I
side
saw
by
that,
side.
yeah.
Impressive.
And it was a very large project, and it really brought a lot of unity. Very good. Those are the projects that we want to bring out of the students, and it's a big thing for the student to say while they're campaigning to get into this position, I want to do a major project of this, and that's what a lot of the students look at when they campaign and to determine who they're going to vote for. Some other ideas are recreation banquets, which I'm doing this year. We have ideas about things in our student union to create better atmosphere.
You have one of those projects in there, don't you?
Oh, yeah. My major project this year was the recreation banquet, to kind of recognize all of the people in this community of students and faculty and staff, to just recognize them for going so far and helping the students beyond their regular call of duty every day, to kind of really give an extra leg for those students. We really want to just reach out and tell those people thank you. So.
And one of the, before we go to our Canadian friends, St. Asnick is another incredibly important project every year. Would one of you share that with us?
I'll go ahead and take that.
Sure.
St. Asnick is probably my favorite project in ASNIC. It's something that I've had the great pleasure of directing for the past 2 years. And last year it was taken on by the leadership development class with Michael Burke and Tim Christie and Kathy Christie. And in that leadership development class, I was participating in that class at the time, and we were all able to work on this program. What it is basically St. Asnick creates Christmas for children and families that otherwise would not have one. It identifies people in our community and in our college who are struggling and need that extra leg up. And what we do is we go out, we gather these people together, we get some of their information of their children, and the last year we helped 60 families, and that we tripled it in size, basically. Not 60 families, 60 children, and we tripled it in size from the year past. This year we doubled it in size, and we helped over 120 children. It's so touching to see, a child come up to you and say thank you for a present, something that they wouldn't have gotten. I know that the board this year helped out with it, and I think that is probably one of the most rewarding things for them, because I remember at one particular point there was 4 girls, and they all, one must have been 5, the other 4, the other 3, the other 2, but they all walked up and they were all blonde, and they said thank you, and they gave everybody a hug that helped out with the program, and it was just incredibly touching, and it's an incredibly invaluable program to ASNIC and also to this community. We just touch a lot of families through it, and I'm just really proud of it.
Thank you very much. And back to our friends from the north, in addition to all these wonderful charity recreational programs you have, and you're saying the same thing in that you're working with families as well. I understand that in addition to serving the students who enroll there,
Right.
that in some of these projects that their spouses or their children all get involved. Can you give us a little more examples of those?
Well, specifically our family fun night events that we run once or twice a year it's a night where our gymnasium just is created into a carnival setting, and we really encourage our adult students to come out, bring their kids out, and also our faculty.
So
we
the
have
faculty and all this.
Yeah. So we have
everyone's involved, inclusive.
everybody who has kids.
Okay.
You bring your kids out, and they get little tokens. They go around, they play at all the different games. We have prizes. A lot. Cranbrook is really good for sponsorship of stuff with the college, so we get a lot of prizes donated from different businesses in the community and stuff. And it's just a fun family night. We have our climbing wall in the gym, so the kids are climbing all over the place. They're throwing balls at things, and it's a good time for the parents too, just to relax. And it's interesting for the students that are putting it on to see their professors in a different light as normal people that have normal families and that can come out and
not normal in the classroom.
well, sometimes you don't
Right,
you don't
I know.
think
I'm
as a
joking,
kid
yeah. Right.
like it's really neat.
That is just your energy and enthusiasm really reveals how wonderful it
Yeah.
is. Colleen, can you tell us about some other projects? I know that student government was not in existence for a little while, and I think you're the first president since it came back into
That's
existence.
right.
So tell us some of the things you're doing or goals that you have for the next 2 to 3 years.
Well, this year we've largely been working with just policies and just laying a good foundation for student associations in the future so that we have some continuity between executives over the years and so that things can actually get done. And one of the things we've done is starting a newsletter. 4 years ago it was a newspaper that was printed at the local paper, and since that was gone, we're just trying to plant the seed and get it rebuilt. And we've tried a couple of events, but largely it's just been policy work. But some of the things we'd like to do in the future, we're just going to talks now to try to figure out how to get a student association building built. And we've had the grand tour of the building here, and it's beautiful. It's very inspiring.
The
So
Powells.
yeah, we'll see what our treasurer thinks about our new ideas.
Okay. No, we're very proud of it. It's been a long process here. It's gone through, over the years, 3 stages to get to where the beautiful place it is now. Well, let me commend you by saying that it's like I belong to a nonprofit organization, and it was created about 6 years ago. First thing you have to do is get all your policies in place. We call them strategic plans and mission statements and all that. So what you're doing with that is you're leaving behind for future governments the structure they need to then start doing all kinds of specific programs. Charity and her people will be greatly blessed by this also. Can you give us an example of 2 or 3 examples of, now that you've put this all in place, of the events that you've put on or some that you plan in the future?
Well, we like to have live bands in. We have a great artistic base in Cranbrook and the whole Kootenays, so there's a lot of bands that we like to have in. They just play in the foyer in the college, and it just adds some life to the school. It adds some noise, and some of the teachers don't necessarily like that. But dances, we fund some clubs, and actually we were talking about having it being a challenge with the outlying campuses. This year we made a policy so that all of the funds that come from the outlying campuses go back to them for them to do with what they want. And there's some really good things going on. Teachers doing cross-country skiing and yoga and pottery workshops. It's good.
That's what. Now, one other area I want to talk about, and that is here we have an award-winning student newspaper, but it's been around a long, long time. In fact, that is the 3rd year in a row they won recently of the Community Colleges of America, the top paper again for the 3rd time. And I commend you for going back in that direction, because there needs to be some kind of a communication line between students. So with your newsletter, that's what you're doing. Yeah. What are some of the kind of things that you put in the newsletter? And I guess that it goes to all 7 sites, I would assume.
That's probably the biggest challenge we have with creating student life is communication. And even in a college, it's not like high school where you had the intercom and the TV screens up. But the TV screens around in the college is one thing we're trying to work on getting up. And we'd like to put in events and what's been going on, things that we need to be proud of, like our business competition team winning more medals than some of the 4-year institutions when we're just a 2-year institution. And we had a record-breaking spaghetti bridge contest last week, and just exciting little things. I don't believe I can let that pass.
I think we need to know what that was. You share that with us?
Every year they have a spaghetti bridge contest for the physics and department and all that, and they just give you a certain amount of spaghetti, a certain amount of glue, and they test it with weights at the end, and normally they get to about 60 pounds, and the one last week was 250 before the metal hook broke. So.
I don't
It's
think
exciting
we do anything like
things.
that here, do we? Let's see. One of the purposes of this week was in exchanging across the borders, getting ideas that you could share and use with that. So that is really an interesting one.
Yeah.
We might pursue that more off the air. Okay. We've had some contests in the past. Let me just say this quickly, because even our wonderful friends from Massac are not aware of this. We used to have at North Idaho College, and I say this now because you might want to do this sometime in the future. We had a week what was called Crazy Days, and we had bed races down Sherman, our main street, and you had some rules about your bed, but that'd be 2 people on the bed and 4 people pushing it to win. And this one I shouldn't probably admit, but we had things like goldfish eating contests, and that was very sad for the goldfish. It's gross, wasn't it? And then they would have pie eating contests, and in fact, one year it was even they saw who could drink the most eggs, and that's very. In modern times, I guess that's kind of dangerous to eat raw eggs. Anyway, Colin, you caused me to remember that. So, and they just all contests for all, and we always tried someone every that week. Someone had done something on campus that not anything serious, but something that was fun to have a trial and all that. So, anyway, I should get off of that. I guess one of the reasons for those kind of activities, though, is that it does reduce stress, and students are under a lot of stress with a lot of papers and tests. But secondly, and this is my next question, and that is, I've heard from both sides today in your other presentation that the greatest challenge that you have, and it's not your fault, but and that is apathy. How do you connect with all the students? And so, Charity, for someone who's been around a while, you have been doing those things. We'll start with you. How can a student government, or what can they do that will bring more students involved in it, being aware of them and supporting what they do?
I think it's really important to assess what your students need with the diversity of students that we have and the diversity of students that you guys have, both on and off campus. Doing some sort of needs assessment when you find out what is it that these people want, and then programming to meet those needs and making it irresistible. Because if people, you get the sense that they're apathetic, but if people really want to be there and it's something that's exciting and something that's meeting a need, they're going to make it a priority and they're going to come out. And just finding what that is and just pushing it and making them very aware of it. Awareness is really, really huge.
Isn't there a tie also the faculty here with our lecture series, which has been going a long, long time too? A lot of the faculty are very supportive. They will actually they'll take a class too. If they have a lecture at 10 o'clock, they'll take that class to that lecture and make an assignment. So, and our student government deserves the credit for our lecture series in the sense that they fund it. So there are those kind of connections too, working with others at the campus, particularly the faculty.
Yes, definitely.
Joel, you and I have talked about this on several occasions. I know it's one of the things that you really, really spend lots of time on. You're very dedicated to. In fact, my good friend Joel, the president, says that he tries to meet at least 3 new students every day, which is wonderful. But Joel, what else do you think can be done, or the experience you've had this year?
Well, I think that going back to a little bit of what was just said, I think that there's 2 different types of apathy. There's apathy towards student programming and events, and then there's apathy towards actual policy making and government and policies and what's going on at a state and the community level and within even the Board of Trustees. And they're 2 separate issues. One is trying to get students to show up to these events, and the other is trying to get students to show up to rallies or actual conferences and meetings where it may not be fun and you may not even get the chance to say anything, but your presence there is important. My area of focus has been on this side with trying to get students to show up to these meetings and show up to our own meetings and get involved in what's going on. Because ASNIC deals primarily with those issues. We don't really deal a whole lot with programs and events. But we do have a student events board that goes specifically towards that area. So that, in turn frees up our time so that we can spend it over here. But what we would like to see is that students care about the fact that tuition and fees will be increasing $136 next year.
Per semester.
well, a year. It's $68
$68
a semester. We'd like to see that, but unfortunately, one of the common sayings that goes around here is that, well, I'm only going to be here for a semester, or I don't plan on being here next year. And so we have to learn to deal within that problem and find solutions there. And that's a difficult one to say, because it requires a little bit of foresight, and you have to be passionate enough about what you're saying to this person that you can say, look, this may not be a problem that you have to deal with right now, but it will be a problem that you will have to deal with in the future when your children want to go to school. When you are a taxpayer and you know that education is not getting the priorities that it needs to have within the state legislature and within the community, we have to, I think, number one, make the facts known to those who are trying to convince. Look, these are the facts. This is how I feel about it. And try and ignite something in that person, spark that flame inside that person, so that they will get passionate about it and go and incite 10 or 12 people on their own.
And Jason, that's one of the things you've worked on too. This new system you have in the student union in a week or so. It's a communication system, a technical system. What is that?
Our plasma screen, which the student government has been working on for quite a few months, has just been put up in place in our student union. It's actually 42 inches wide, fairly large, and it will be able to display not only pictures but film and footage of just different creative ideas to capture the attention of a student and to bring their attention to something that's going on campus. We really want to grab them and make sure that it sticks in their mind, that they remember it. Another thing that we've decided to do this year is put up little table tents all over our eating tables, and it's a 3-sided table tent, and we put little flyers in there, and we make it so that the students are actually interested in that. There's information on there that they can use.
One thing wins on this program every time, it's the clock. I've never beaten the clock. It gets our time, and Colleen, that's what you're doing too with your newsletter and all of these ways of trying to communicate. I want to thank all 4 of you for being here. It's been a special day for me to have the student governments from these colleges and staff here, as well as the cities of Cranbrook and Coeur d'Alene. Really a special historical day at our college, and good luck and safety to you, and be good to yourself. Ladies and gentlemen, we will continue this program again next week on with another group of guests on celebrating Canadian-American friendship. We hope you're enjoying these programs as much as we are, and we hope particularly you're learning and appreciating more about one another, whether you're in Canada or the United States. Until next week, please have a good week. I am Tony Stewart. The running president, it was so much fun. Thank you so much. I enjoyed it very much.
Recorded on the campus of North Idaho College, Public Forum is the longest-running in-house college production on PBS. Each episode is pre-recorded live and is an educational outreach from North Idaho College. Please join us at this same time next week for another edition of Public Forum on this public television station.